morning's episode of Spinach TV is taking a slight tangent from the Entrepreneur series. I think it's a really important time to pause from everything that we've learned over the past few conversations and talk to somebody like Sridhar, who I'm going to introduce in a moment. But when I started series 2, as I was saying to Sridhar offline, one of the threads that's binding most of the people that I'm talking to is purpose and mindset. And those are big, lofty words, but what do they really mean? And we're going to dig into that a bit more today before we push on with the rest of series 2. So today I'm sitting with Sridhar Krishnamurti from Expand Consulting. So thank you so much for taking the time to sit with me this morning.
It's a pleasure, Jemma. Thanks for having me.
So can you tell us, what is Expand Consulting?
Well, Expand Consulting is basically it's a vehicle for doing my work. So it's probably easier to just say kind of what I do. The official title is Strategy and Mindset Consultant and Speaker. What does that really mean? It means that, you know how when people they feel stuck in their life, or they just know that they have somewhere that things could be better. Their relationship could be more, could be more fulfilling, or their business could be growing more, or their health could be better, but they're just at that stuck point, or having that knowing that they can go farther, but just not maybe seeing how to get there. Mm-hmm. And what I do is I've created a 3-step program to help them to basically break through those points and to create a new playing field so that they can achieve, basically the bottom line is to live our greatest lives. And in order to do that, we have to get out of those mindset stuck points and really see what the true playing field is. And I basically help people to get to that and find out who they are and basically live their greatest version of their life and the most fulfilling one.
That's epic.
I guess maybe I should possibly take a couple of minutes to share with you why I do that and maybe my background a little bit.
Please do. Yeah, because we had some captivating conversations actually before we hit go on the recording. So, some of the best the best work we miss. But yeah, you've been on a real journey with Expand and your own personal journey with mindset.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm one of those people that is needs must, and my journey really started out of necessity. So to try to give a bit of a background, I'd like to share this with people because it gives them an understanding of, why do I care and why, why am I doing this? It's not a job for me. It never has been. It's been my life. And really, I went, I guess you could call it the dark side. Growing up as a child, I just went through some tough times. I grew up in a quite largely academic family. There was a lot of expectation around schoolwork and grades and performance. And I had a brother that was a superstar, an older brother that went before me, and he was the straight A, student, and the one that kind of, as I say it nowadays, was jokingly he cornered the market, if you will, but not knowing he just did what he could to live up to his own, the expectations on him. But as you may know, when you have siblings and you come behind that, you sort of go, well, that's just a daunting task for a child. I just kind of gave up on it and thought, there's no way I can beat him at that game. And a lot of mind games happened when I was a kid that I didn't realize. And basically, I just believed I didn't have a chance at that. And I just gave up on it. And excuse me, as a result, I got compared. I was like, and I now know, looking back on it, these were just caring parents that were concerned for their child and his welfare. But at the time, it felt like, oh, you don't love me, you don't care about me. Why are you comparing me to my brother? And as part of the mindset work I do, we talk about the stories that we create. And I created one around not being worthy and not being good enough and, being inferior to my brother. And that's quite a painful thing for a child to experience. And so as I grew up with that, it got more and more painful. And then when I got to be a teenager, someone gave me a drug to try for the first time. And I can remember it was the first time not feeling pain for as long as I could remember. And I now know that was, it wasn't real. It was just a cover up and a mask. But I didn't know that at the time. And I was off to the races. I basically had about 12 years of drug addiction. They got worse, it got bigger. And at the end of that, it left me at the low point. I became homeless and destitute. So I was living in the States at the time. And I moved and went to a town called Seattle, Washington, in the Northwest coast. And the epiphany or the turnaround I had was on my first day of being homeless. And I arrived there with nothing. And I was basically running from some troubles that I had caused through my addiction. And with the help of my father, I got on a bus ride and went 5 days across the country and got out in this new city that I didn't know anyone, and I had nothing. And so, but sometimes that low is the thing that that is our turnaround. It's
Mhm.
not for everyone,
Mm.
but we all go through lows, and those lows can be lows or they can be opportunities. And on my lowest day, I had an epiphany moment. I had a turnaround moment, and all I can say was I was looking at a tower, and it was just this overwhelming feeling of, life could be up there. And it was obviously a metaphor. Your life could be on top of the tower, not under the ground like it is now. And that just stayed with me. So although it took me a little bit of time to turn around, that never left me. And I just thought, I'm living that life. I'm going to do whatever it takes to live that life, because I have to live one of them. And I don't really want to live the one I'm living anymore. It's the lowest one. So I began searching, voraciously, just desperately, you could say, searching for what is this potential and how do I fulfill it? And that's
Mm.
led me to my journey over the last 30 years. Meeting some amazing teachers. I'll be the first one to be honest and say I came across a lot of stuff that really didn't work or didn't work for me, or that made me feel really high and then I felt low again, and but I didn't see the results that I wanted in my life. And then, but I kept persisting and eventually found some amazing life changing technologies, techniques, information. And as many people, when you find something that changes your life, which mine is, it's a 180 from that life to, so many of my dreams coming true now, you want to share that with other people. So I started doing that just naturally.
Mm.
That's why I say it's not a job. And then one thing's led to another, and here we are, 30 years later. I've worked with some really amazing people, top leaders in business, athletes, celebrities, and just what we call everyday people. I don't think
Mm.
anyone's every day. We all have something really special to offer. But I spend my days now, doing that and helping people to find out who they really are, and to live their I call it my Space Needle life. That was the
Mhm.
tower I was looking at. It's called the Space Needle in Seattle, and yeah, it's helping people live their greatest life, not one by default. So it was a necessity that got me into it, but I'm so thankful for that experience in life because it's led me to an amazing journey so far. One that I'm truly grateful for.
Mm. One of my favorite phrases is "It's not happening to you, but for you." Um, yeah, that really kind of sums up the way that you see what happened to you, or what you experienced. And so, on your pursuit for purpose, what did you learn, or for better or worse?
Yeah, well, I really appreciate the opportunity to share this because, I think I might have had quite a somewhat unique journey and purpose. And the reason why is early on in my journey, when I was seeking to fulfill potential, because that's what I heard. There was a way to live your greatest potential and not just live
Mm.
the lowest one or anywhere in between. That we can make a choice. And early on in these teachings, I heard something which was, hey, if you find your purpose, you have to find your purpose. And if you find your purpose, then your life is going to take on this new meaning, right? It's going to have a
Mhm.
whole different connotation. So I became desperate. I was like, I
Mm.
need to find this purpose. What is it? And so I began searching, and like I always do, I traveled. I went to, if there was a teacher that was supposed to know about it, I went there, and I worked really diligently after that, and basically spending all my money and personal development, if I'm being honest, and my time. But I'm grateful for that. But I was going all over the place and searching, and I think that's a topic I'm so it's beyond passion for me because I spent 18 years, Gemma,
Mm.
studying life purpose for the sake of not just conceptually, but I wanted to
Yeah.
find my purpose.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that after those 18 years, I didn't find it. And, that was painful. I mean,
Mm.
the truth of that is I spent years depressed. Like, and finally I started to conclude maybe I don't have one. Maybe everybody else has one and I don't have one. So this is a topic that's really important because purpose is a very important topic, and um, it can make such a big difference for people. But it's also, in my experience, which was a lot, from a personal standpoint, it's something where people can be misled a lot, and
Mhm.
it's something where we were speaking earlier, and I said to you, it's a bit like a minefield. It's a minefield because there's so much out there on it, and I personally found I can only speak for myself, but I personally found that a lot of it just didn't take me where I needed to go, and in fact, it caused the opposite problem. So So where do we start? Do you want me to share what I've learned about purpose, or was that or what the pitfalls are? What do you think's
Let's
the
start with what you've learned about it.
Okay, well, I'll give you my definition.
Okay.
And I guess what I want to say is this definition is probably going to sound very simple, but it's why I wanted to tell you that there's 18 years of painstaking work behind it. And I think what I would suggest for people to listen to is not so much what it says, but what it doesn't say.
Oh, okay.
And right, okay. So, purpose at the end of the day is living your authentic life.
Mhm,
That's what I've discovered. It's simply living your authentic life.
mhm.
And to me, it's about identifying what inspires and fulfills us the most. So, can I talk about for a moment what that doesn't say?
Please. Yes.
It doesn't say that you don't have a purpose now. It
Mm,
doesn't say that you're starting from a place of not having a purpose. That was my big mistake,
mm,
believing I didn't have some purpose and I had to find some purpose. You know, the
mm,
thing that changed everything for me after 18 years was reading a sentence. That's where the epiphany happened, and then it turned around. And that sentence was, if we have a purpose and we do, how can we not be doing it? How can we not already be living it? And
mm,
after 18 years of searching out here for this thing that was going to change my life, I turned it inward and found it was there the whole time. All I had
mm,
to do was look in the right place. My
mm,
life had always been dictating my purpose. It was always there. It's like I say to people now, if you look at a flower, does it question what its purpose is, or is it just doing it?
mm.
Right? Because if you look at a tree, it's just doing its purpose. So we're doing our purpose. The difference I found in a human being is that we can be doing our purpose unconsciously.
Mhm.
I believe that the real difference that can be made with purpose is that we make it fully conscious. I think the
Yes.
issue here is not to find a purpose, it's to discover what it already is and make it conscious so that we know that we're living it, and it can then go to a new place. But through working with, look, I've worked with thousands of people over the years, and the biggest mistake people have, whether they know it or not, is they come in believing they're off purpose,
Mm,
you know, and that's not true. It's
mm,
not. And furthermore, when we believe we're not on purpose, then that's where we are. We don't find what we want out of a place of lacking what we want.
mm,
We find what we want out of realizing we already have it. And that's one of the keys of mindset, right? That's it. We already
mm,
have it. And if we understand that we already have purpose, we can easily become aware of what that is.
mm.
But the more that we felt, I felt 18 years, I didn't feel like I had it. I felt like I lacked it. And I just kept lacking it. And I kept lacking it. And that desperate state of mind kept me pushing it away and not seeing it.
I wonder if there was an element of, that past emotional trauma, for want of a better word, coming in and actually feeding that belief that you didn't already have it. And then, so there's probably a combination of, um, I went through it myself when I became an adult, when I became a parent, of uncovering, instinctive reactions to stuff, and why did I do that, and then what's happened, and then working through all that before you can kind of go forward. Maybe there's a tandem thing happening of, like, self counseling, uh, past stuff, so that you can be open and receiving that new information, for your next phase.
Yeah, I mean, I call that a place of mind. So the place where we get these epiphanies and these moments of clarity of what we really
Mhm,
want to be doing. There's a certain aspect of mind that we need to access, and
mhm,
I'm in total agreement with you that those stories that we bring into it, people feel that they have past failures, for example, or for whatever reason they don't feel worthy or good enough, and some people are aware of these stories, and other people aren't aware that they're being run by these stories. But we do
yeah.
all have one. Well, that's another topic, but we do all have one. I mean, look at the simple proof of that is, why are we stopping ourselves from just going for everything that we want? What are these
Mm,
voices in the mind that, oh no, don't do that, or don't try that, or they might reject you?
mhm,
None of those stories turn out to be true, but we all create versions of them that prevent us. And yeah, you're absolutely right in my experience, Gemma, that when we have those, then we don't have access to the actual space of mind that has that clarity. So the way that I say it, thanks for bringing that up, is clarity is always there. We don't have to go and search and find it. We just have to remove what's in the way and see it's already there, and it reveals itself to us. That's been my experience in the work that I do.
Mm.
It's in here. It's like the closest you can say to it is like a calling, but it's a calling from within. This is the big thing that people do
Mm.
with calling, is they think calling is from out here. It's not. It's from in there. And
Mm.
we just have to remove all the noises and all that trying to please other people to access what it really is. But here's one thing I can say to you, and I hope people take heart in this, because I know there's other people like me that have really searched for purpose and don't feel like they're finding it.
Yeah.
It's there. It's there for every single person. I can guarantee it.
Mm. And so how do you know? How do you know when you're finding or living your purpose?
You know, because there's a question that I ask. Let me back up and say that there's really two ways.
Mhm.
One way is you feel inspired and you feel fulfilled. You,
Mhm.
you feel like, oh, look, sometimes whatever our purpose or purposes are, because sometimes we can have more than one. I find that we have one sort of main one, but it's not like a purpose and
Mm.
nothing else matters. We can have multiple purposes, but there tends to be an overriding one. When we're living it, we feel a sense of fulfillment and we feel a sense of inspiration. So while there's some ups and downs with every life, and we may not be feeling full of joy, and because
Mm.
we go through things in life, ultimately we have this deep sense of fulfillment. And the real testing point is to ask yourself a question: is there anything else that I would rather be spending my time doing? And by that, I don't mean, I want to be really clear on it, because sometimes people say, oh yeah, I want to play golf today, or I want to take the day off.
Mm.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the great creations of your life.
Mhm.
You're a parent like I am. You have family as a creation, and business. I know this is mainly for business people. Businesses are creations at the end of the day. And if if we can say, look, is there anything else I would feel more inspired and fulfilled doing with my life? And if something comes to you, then that's more of your purpose
Mhm.
than what it is, right? But I find that, as I say, we can't not be living it. So, um, of all the people I've worked with, it's very, very rare that someone doesn't discover that they're already on their purpose. What they
Mm.
discover is that by making it much more fully conscious to them,
Mm.
it just takes it to a whole different level. They feel a lot more inspired and fulfilled. But if there's anything else you'd rather be doing, and this gets into kind of, when I talked about what purpose is not, so many people confuse purpose with drive. And this is something that I'm
Mm.
really, really big about. Many of my clients have been there. As I said, I work with very, very successful people, but so many of them are driven. And I said to you at the beginning, there might be some different things in here and things for people to think about, but I don't believe in holding back, and
Mm.
we've confused drive with purpose. Does it make sense when I say that? Like the
Yeah.
drivenness, like we celebrate drive. I'm driven, that person's so driven.
Yeah.
If you really peel the layers back, driven people usually, this is what I was talking about speaking with Cam Bailey, and what we're bringing to the world at the moment, through Get Real, is that there's a whole aspect of carnage that gets created when someone is hyper focused over here. That can be coming from a drive.
Mhm.
And the way that I say it, Gemma, is think about driving for a moment. When we drive, we think of driving a car, right?
Mhm.
Well, we drive a car from a place to a place.
Mhm.
So here's the question I ask about drive: where are you driving from?
Mm.
What are you driving from? And in my work and in mindset, what I see is people are, without knowing it, they're driving from a story of I'm not good enough, or I'm driving from a
Mm.
story of I've got something to prove, or I'm driving from a story of I have to be better than someone else.
Mhm.
So that's what's driving us. And it's like this carrot we can never catch because the story start point was untrue.
Mm.
That's a big part of mindset. Is one of my most profound teachers in my life said, it's not what you learn as much as what you unlearn that's going to
Mm.
make the difference in your life. And I found that to be true. It's unlearning those stories. It's the origin, it's the context that's important. Because I've worked
Mhm.
with driven people who've created massive amounts of wealth and success, and they're stressed, they're
Mm.
miserable, their lives have massive amounts of carnage in it, but that's not the part we look at, right? And the other thing is they're desperate. We're on social media here, and I talk about it a lot, and I'm open about it. Why are we doing some of the things we're doing? Because we want somebody to like us or to think we're okay. Well, why do we need that? If we like ourselves, if we love ourselves and we're happy with who we are, why do we need validation from out here? And this is the kind of thing that drive is coming from, and it can never be fulfilled because it just leads to the next moment. If we feel not good enough, we work really, really hard and drive to have some success. We go right back to not feeling good enough, and then we have to drive again. And I call it a trap, and it just goes round and round and round. Whereas true purpose is just living your authentic life. It's just discovering what you love and pursuing it. And I would say after this too, an important aspect of purpose that's coming to mind is it's a pathway, not a destination. So many people hold themselves up and go, I have to fulfill this purpose. I have to do this. And so it becomes a stressful thing rather than it's supposed to be a joyful thing, Jemma. It's supposed to give your life inspiration and fulfillment, not stress and struggle. And unfortunately, that's where most people end up because they're starting from a place of disempowerment from the beginning and don't know that. And so it's kind of what you said earlier about discovering those past things, but they live on unconsciously. And if we stop and really investigate our decisions and our thought processes, I'm very big on self-reflection, we'll see how it impacts all the different elements and aspects of our lives. From not saying things to people to, just holding back, withholding love, from people because we're afraid of rejection or not taking that leap in business because we feel fearful of embarrassment or rejection. And these are the types of things where our purpose is just to go for it. And what's the worst that could happen? Right? We've gone through life and here we are, we're fine. So, but the thing that I feel so, inspired to share from experience is that because of these things, we don't go for it. We don't go for it. We just don't do it. We live some small version of our life and then wonder what happened.
And you often see people holding back encouragement for people who are actually following their purpose as well. What will people think? And actually, it's safer if other people also aren't going for their purpose because then it validates you holding yourself back too.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying talking about bringing that purpose to your front of mind, and instead of searching for the goal of what purpose is, realizing that it is actually a way of living and it's the path that you're on, rather than it being the destination or a goal or a metric that you're measuring. And I think would it be sensible to tie that purpose and mindset together, about how you're approaching making your decisions and moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, purpose and mindset, they're very interlinked, right? And I guess you could say at the heart of it all, purpose is a mindset. Living from purpose is a kind of mindset. It's, and I think it's a great way to say that because we make it this thing. I know that's what it was. It's this thing I have to find and I have to live, and it just becomes full of pressure. Where really, it is a mindset. It's a way of living. It's what I discovered that day at the Space Needle in Seattle, when I had nothing and I was on the streets and I was just wandering around and I looked up, I was carrying these 2 heavy bags and which was everything I owned. And I put them down and I looked up and, what that really was about was we're going to live life some way, right? Like this is what occurred to me is we have an amount of time. No one knows how much that is, but we have an amount of time to experience this life and we're going to do it in some way. And we could do it painstakingly. We could struggle, we could stress about it, or we could just get up every day with the dedication to love our life, do the best that we can, and know that that's all that we can do. And, I found in all this time, there is a magic to life. There is a magic to people that really commit to what you want and go for it. And things do happen. I know you've seen that and you're like, I think I kind of heard you say it earlier, that when you dedicate to something, things happen for you. And, it's 30 years of seeing this now tells me it's fact, not illusion. And that's the way to live, is to dedicate ourselves to bringing about what we love. And to me, that's a mindset. And, is it going to be perfect every day? No, but if we don't give up, we just identify and why would we give up creating the most important things to us, then yeah, that is a mindset. It's a way of life, and it is a mindset. So yeah, I think
Mm.
it's in a way they're kind of extricable, yeah, inextricable from each other. So yeah, I think it's a great time to go into mindset.
Yeah. Um, Mindset's quite deliberate, isn't it? Is it?
Can you say a little bit more about?
Well, I find getting results from mindset can be deliberate. So in my experience, I've got past you touched on those inner voices before about the things that we're saying to ourselves about why we're going to or not going to approach a certain situation. And then I guess if you're not getting the results that you want from that moment because you're getting in your own way, you need to unpack it. But then you need to be very deliberate about what you do want and how you're going to go about getting that. And so, yeah, I guess that I blurted that question out half cooked, but
Oh
um,
no, no. I just wanted to make sure that I was going to speak to what you were saying.
yeah.
So yeah, look, deliberate. I fully agree. I think that the thing is that we need to really to 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 know that whatever we focus on and
Mhm.
how we focus on it. I mean, one of the biggest words I use in my work, Jemma, is context, and we need to understand the context that we're coming from. If we have that knowing that we're going to do something, that's what we want to get to. And I
Mhm.
use some techniques with people to get to that knowing. Start every day with that knowing, that deliberate knowing that you're going to create it, not wondering or worrying and this type of thing. And it's that sort of work
Mhm.
that is really important.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah, I
just
really
can I,
like
do
that.
you mind if I go back to purpose just for a moment, because it brought something up, and it was one of the real, I think, as far as SME owners are concerned,
Mm.
there was something that I felt to share with them that I think might be one of the more profound things that they could take from this talk. So
Please
would you mind
do.
if I just went back to purpose for a second?
Yeah, please do. Yes, please do.
This was one of the big mistakes that I've made in the past, and that so many people make, and it's quite an important one.
Mhm.
Is that purpose is for you. And a lot of times, one of the things I do with people is like, we create missions and key objectives and outcomes and things like getting clear about what they want. And so much of where people start is, oh, I want to do this for those people, and I want to do this for those people. And I'm like, but your purpose, it involves them, but your purpose is there to fulfill you.
Mm.
So one of the key things is your purpose is for you. People say they come back to me and they go, hey, I got this from the work, and I feel really great with that. I'm really inspired, and I'm thankful that to be a part of that. But I do this because it fulfills me, most importantly, right?
Mhm.
Because if I don't, and I'm doing it for someone else, I'm going to burn out because I'm not doing what I love to do. And so the thing about is, and I will say this to people, that when you identify what you love to do and how you love to do it, and you're really real about that, you will not want for business. You will not want for
Mm.
business, because people will see it in you, they will feel it in you, and they will come.
Mm.
You will be busy. You will have, it's so people get that kind of, oh, I've got to focus on them, and my purpose is to serve, is to
Mm.
serve them. But what is the purpose for you? What fulfills you? And I think it's important for people to know what fulfills you about what you're doing. And yeah, I hope that came across. But the basic bottom line for that is purpose is for us. It involves other people, and
Mhm.
it's going to be serving other people. But our purpose is about what fulfills us.
Mhm.
Um, there was a guy named Joseph Campbell who was an author, philosopher, who, he's got the words that are probably the closest to it. He said, "Follow your bliss." So while I don't, he wrote something called The Hero's Journey, which I'm not. Um, there's some parts of that I'm not really aligned with, but because I believe we're just all here and we can all just fulfill it because we can, and we all have a birthright to live our greatest lives, and we just have to claim that. We don't have to do anything or prove anything to deserve that. We just already deserve it. But he said, follow your bliss. And to me, there's two important parts of that: is finding your bliss and following your bliss, and that comes from in here. That's not generated from outside. It
Mm.
involves people on the outside, but yeah, I just that came up in that last about being deliberate, and that reminded me to share that as well about purpose. So when you look at
Thank you.
purpose, yeah, it's what's in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sorry, I've taken a soft mindset, but it just
No, it's brilliant. No, it's really great. I like the flow, and no, I think it's brilliant. And I mean, I've just had my own experiences with that over the past probably 10 years, and then I can see it in the people that I work with day to day, and I can see it in the people that I'm talking to at Spinach TV, and I can just see, I work with two kinds of people. People who are smashing it because they're living their purpose, and that purpose keeps them awake at night, or they're passionate, they're following it, they're loving it, what they're doing, they can when they talk about it, they light up. And then there's others who are in the pursuit of more, and I guess those are the people that I really want to feel what it is that you're saying, because I sat with an associate a couple of weeks ago, and he's getting really great results in his business, and I'm going, wow, that's so great, what's next for you, and talking about family, talking about work, everything, his body language, everything was, because even though he was reaching those goals that he'd been striving for, he didn't get where he thought he would be once he reached them. And that pursuit of more isn't enough. It isn't going to last. It isn't going to bring you that fulfillment.
We never get there. That's been my experience. We never get there in that context.
Mm.
You keep saying things that bring up things I've forgotten to say. So do you mind?
Say them.
I mean, okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, say them.
So it's a perfect working out here. There is, you just brought something up really, really important too, because I talk about purpose being two things, and it really is important, both of them, because what you just reminded me of, Jemma, is that life is now. Like it's not in the future. It's not in those accomplishments. It's in this moment. Like there's no future in this moment. This is it. You and I having a conversation is all that's happening in the world at the moment. As far as we're concerned, if I'm off thinking about a future right now, that's simply just an image in my head. It doesn't actually exist.
Yeah.
Likewise, if we think about the past, it's also just an image in the mind. It's something that doesn't actually exist. And this is the moment. So whereas I do talk about purpose as discovering, what fulfills you, and, what's your authentic life, and what are those pursuits that bring us the most, inspiration and fulfillment and possibly joy and bliss. There's another purpose. Those purposes is kind of twofold for me. And it's not just semantical. This is really important. Purpose, there's another element of purpose which might even be more important if I'm really being honest, and that is our purpose exists in the now. And so I'll give you an example. Like when we get up in the morning, and many of us, one of the first things that we might do is brush our teeth. Well, when we're brushing our teeth, stop and think about for a moment, what's our purpose? Our purpose is to be brushing our teeth, because what else are we doing? And the reason that that's important, now that's a pretty, kind of, lightweight, facetious sort of an example, but it's not. How many of us are sitting there brushing our teeth, worrying about, okay, what do I have to do? What's my to-do list? And what I'm going to do? And we're not present. We're not present to this moment of time. So I know we spent a lot of time talking about purpose, but at this moment in time, I only have one purpose, and that's to be having a conversation with you right now. If I'm anywhere else in my mind, I'm not here. And so there is an element of purpose to be where we are. And you brought something up when you talked about that gentleman who was just, on that treadmill of never getting to the destination. That's really sad, because he's missing what's right in front of him. The things that the business he has created, if he's got a family, the beautiful people that are in his life, who they are to him, what they do for him, and this is so many of us are in that. I know I lived in that kind of always chasing something and feeling like, something wasn't right, and I always had something more that I had to do, and we're missing right now. So our purpose is actually, and there's some training that I recommend people to just bring yourself back. Like all you have to do is be in this moment. All you have to do is be in this moment. And that's really whatever we're doing right now is our entire purpose in life, because life is here. It's not in the future, and it's not in the past. It's here. That's not, there's been a lot talked about that, but that's literal. That's not some mindfulness seminar. It's reality. It's
Mm.
This is it. This is all there is. And what I say is, do either of us know? Do we actually absolutely know that this isn't the last thing we're ever going to do?
Mm.
We don't know that, do we? I mean,
No.
it's kind of a scary thought in a way, but
Yeah.
it's also a very freeing one. So
Yeah.
if this were
Yeah.
the last thing we were ever going to do, would we want to be off thinking about something else? Or would we want to be fully here, taking in this situation to its
Mhm.
utmost? And that's really our purpose is, when we're with somebody, be with that person. When we're with that customer, be with that customer. When we're working on creating the business, be present to creating like envisioning the business, be present to that. When we're at home with our family, be present to that. And that's kind of a different sort of purpose, but in a way that's the realest one of all, because that's our purpose is to be where we are, and I find that when we do that, all the worries go away, because we're in a moment of presence. What there is to say comes through, or what there is to do, it becomes apparent in
Mm.
in that moment. But when we're off in the mind, and the image of the mind going past, and I don't want to fail, and they might reject me, and then we're literally present. There isn't a reality that we're present to. We're present to thoughts,
Mhm.
random thoughts, or images in our own mind, and we're not present to reality. So that's quite an important part of it,
Mhm.
is in terms of purpose. And yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Thanks for bringing that up, because that's I always talk about two aspects of purpose.
Mm.
Most of us live in the future all the time, and then the past gets brought into that, and we're just missing the whole thing.
Yeah. I love that so much. I have small children, and what you're saying to me is, you know, is so it resonates with me so much, because every moment that you're in, whether it's with the children or with the partner or the work or wherever it is, time goes so fast, and if you blink, you miss it, and then you look back and you go, "Oh, everything I wanted was right there the whole time anyway."
Yeah. And
Um,
the other thing about that, Jim, is things work out okay. We're always worrying about,
yeah.
a lot of us are worrying about, oh, I got to do this so I can worry about that. But everything, however old we are right now,
Yep.
here we've got,
Yep.
with all the worries that have happened in our mind, here we are. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Maybe other than what we might be thinking
Mm.
about or believing, we're fine. We're okay. Right.
Mm.
And that goes to show that it's okay to just trust the moment and be there. So and be fully in it. And that's where we get the most.
Yeah.
I often say to people, this is another one, if you want to pop it in. If you stop, and this is sobering, right? But if you stop and think about it right now, and I get people to do this, because all these people that are on these things are doing,
Mm.
I ask them this question: how many people do you think are thinking about you right now?
Mm.
Right? And they just go, and you can see some of the shocked looks on their face, because they're living their whole life as to how people are going to think about them. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how many people are thinking about you right now?
Yeah.
I said, they're too busy thinking about their own life and what they want. And the purpose of having that question
Mhm.
is, why are you living your life? Why are we living our lives so that other people might see us a certain way? Most of us are doing that,
Yeah.
and that's not purpose. That's not fulfillment. That's the road to misery, because we wake up one day and realize I lived it for all the wrong reasons, and nobody cared. They didn't care. Like, that's the thing.
Mm.
The person that should care is you, we, us, because
Mm.
we get up every day and live our own life. I know I
Mhm.
want to love mine now. I'm fully dedicated to that. If there's something I don't love, it starts to go like it,
Mm.
because I don't want to waste any moments of time. And yeah, whether people like that or don't like that, what they think about it, why would that be a concern? That's
Mm.
their business.
Can you please tell us about the course that you've prepared?
Oh, yeah, thanks, Gemma. So people are interested in finding this out. Look, I went through so many pitfalls about finding purpose, and I worked diligently for so long to try to help people, because I do know that when you find that thing that fulfills you, you do feel more inspired, you do feel more
Mm.
fulfilled, and life does take on that meaning. But it's about an inner journey. So, look, we're launching. It's quite exciting that we're launching in about 4 weeks' time the Expand Community, and the Expand
Mm.
Community is it's going to be a global community. We've already got a lot of interest in it, and it's amazing people that are getting together, going, "Hey, we want to live our greatest lives." And I've done some pre-recorded courses on there. One of them is on purpose, how to go step by step in discovering your purpose. I'm also going to be doing some live sessions to help take people through, live one-to-ones and demonstrating it. And because I'd love for everybody to have this. So I've been working on this for it's quite an exciting development release. We've been working on this for about 2 years, but we're soon to launch the Expand Community, and it's going to be courses on mindset, but also one specifically on how to discover and cut through the noise and really get to that purpose that's going to unleash that well. If people are interested in that, just please maybe leave a comment, or they can go to my website, which is expand-consulting.com, and there's a community page on there. So if you want to take it farther and just simply find your purpose and not just talk about it, that's a great place to do it. We put a lot of hours into making sure that we did that in a way that could work for people and find it. As I shared earlier, part of the reason why was because of the pitfalls that I went through, and I'd love to save people that time. And as you said earlier, time is precious, and we want to make the most of it. So that's the Expand Community. It's going to be a lot more than just purpose, but that's one of the things that we're going to cover in there. But there's a whole bunch of goodies in there, so please check it out if people are interested.
Yeah, well, I'm going to leave a bunch of contact links and details for you, Sridhar, because I can feel that we've only really just scratched the surface. There's so much more to say, and your community and all of the content that comes with it and all the support and everything, I think will be a real value add for people. So I'll make sure that people can find you easily and connect with you. But once again, I really want to thank you for taking the time to sit with me this morning and really deep dive on purpose and mindset with me.
Oh, well, it's been a real pleasure, and thanks again for asking. This is I share my journey because this is real personal for me, and if one person out there could get on that journey of purpose, or something, that just makes all the difference. So thank you for inviting me on the call, and it's been a great time.